Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Factorio. I'm looking down here at the 30 science a minute setup that I've been running for the last couple of episodes, and I'm starting to see some more flaws in the design. Most of them Kitch related. I mean, we have the thing with all the space science packs. They're definitely kind of filling up everything, which is something we're going to need to address in future builds. And I'm just looking around here, and I'm going to go ahead and call that an excessive amount of electric engines that we have on the line. Something went awry there. And perhaps track too. Let's just go check these out here. Let's see. Electric engines. Okay, railroad track is right here. You do have 40 in your base there. Okay, something's still using it. All right, so maybe the excessive amount of railroad tracks is actually needed. I don't remember how many we need on the line. I'll have to go and check that. Let's see, is that purple science? Yeah, and I mean, you're reading your exports correctly. Yes, you are. Okay, and where do we have electric engines at? They're right here. Right here. What's going on? Your inputs, your outputs are all wired up. But they're set to fish. Of course they are. Oh, well, that's going to mess the numbers up a little bit. And I went through this so many times. So many times. Well, I mean, the good news is I guess that should clear out over time. We'll just run with an excessive amount. This setup's done. We need to redo it. Definitely need to limit the science coming out, and apparently the electric engines as well. Those are a little bit excessive. But I haven't really been looking at that down there. I just was going to start the episode off down there and notice the, the craziness going on. This is actually what I've been working on, and I'll kind of try to explain what we're doing here. As I mentioned, this was suggested by Tech Fusion in the Discord. This came from that idea, and I liked it. So here's the idea. There's only 3 belts going through the middle. Oh, we went over this a little bit in the last episode, but I had to rearrange some things in order for it to make sense. And every now and then you run across a situation like this where you're making something like sulfur, and sulfur is only used by sulfuric acid, so there's no need for it to go all the way around the sushi belt. So I made a little mini sushi belt here where we can produce our sulfur, and it's pulled in by the sulfuric acid, and then that is a day. Same thing with the wire. I think we went over this kind of in the last episode, but yeah, the wires going out to these lines right here that's going around, and since the green and the red circuits are the only ones that use wire, those are good to go. Got a transport belt and inserters that's doing green science here. Let's see. Loaded city structures. Some of these things are used by more than one thing, so anything that needed to go out in the main bus line, like these guys, they or were used in more than one thing where I couldn't quite fit it in logically the first time. I just sent it out on the main bus, on the main sushi belt, I guess we should call it. But down here, this one starts with stone. We're making stone walls. I also put all the military science ingredients in here because we need them in such little quantities, really, compared to everything else. So bullets, armor-piercing bullets, grenades, they go out on that sushi belt. We're making the black science here, gray science here. That's being pulled both sides and sent out onto the sushi belt. Iron sticks, railroad track, they all stay in this little mini bus that we have here, as well as the productivity modules, as well as furnaces, and that all ends up with purple science. So this is a relatively big one. But everything we're using here is in such small quantity, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. In the wire, I have that set up where we'll do both sides of the belt. In most of these, they're just using one lane of the belt. If we run into problems there, we can always adjust it. Down here, I have one that's grabbing pipe, engines, electric engines. Let's just check. Okay, it's not set to fish. Very good. We have lubricant coming in for those, robot frames, and yellow science all on this. So all these intermediate products are not entering the main line. They're all staying there. And then we have one for speed modules and the rocket control units right here. And over here we have all of our satellite stuff. And let me just make sure that's all set. And that is everything. We're only doing 3 lines through the middle. I'm hoping that is going to be enough and not cause us a big problem. We'll see. That allowed this to be greatly simplified and made much, much smaller. I'm just doing basically a, what is that, a 6-to-3 balancer there coming in. Oh, actually, there's a 7-to-3 and then a 6-to-3 basically in line there. I'm hoping that's going to work out fine. Mostly this is just trickling in over here after it gets the initial push, so that should be good. And yeah, we'll just see how this performs, if it'll be better. I think some of the savings here are going to be that the green circuits, the red circuits, all these things should produce a lot faster. It's not direct insert, but at least it's like a dedicated line. So that should happen a lot faster. All these should just go just a ton faster because they don't have to wait for everything to go all the way through for it to produce. So I think that should be good. So that leads me here to the rocket. Oh, and to mention, I put in some of the lane balancers, just the regular lane balancers. We'll see how those go. I did run some fish through here, as you can see right here, just because that these are permanent blocks in this particular lane balancer. These items will never come out, so I filled them with fish so we don't get any real items stuck in there, only fish. All right, so I want to set up a system to push in a satellite. Only grab the satellite whenever we have a reasonable amount of science here. And I don't want that to be affected by any of the rocket construction parts. I want it to be... Oh, and this is not right. This needs to be hooked up to the subtraction network because we're pulling items off. Let's just make sure those are set right. No operation, read the hand contents. No operation, read the hand contents. No operation, read the hand contents. All right, and then we have these inserters right here that are going to read whatever they're grabbing and put that on the line. This is going to be our science grabbers. That's going to add, and it's going to the green network, so that should just get added in the regular count. Those should be taken away as we pull them out into the science labs. So we should have a count just by hooking that up to the network. We should have that taken care of. And that leaves the satellite inserters. And we only want to do that. We have that count on... We've got kind of a situation here, right? So we want this guy to grab satellites. We know that for sure, right? We want to grab satellites, and we want to do that whenever we have a specific amount of science out here on the belts. And we could read that off the network. But the problem with that is that we also want to subtract this from the network whenever we pull it out and put it into the thing so that the satellite facility knows to make another one, right? So this needs to be hooked up to that red network, and it needs to be set to read the hand contents. And we want to do that when satellite... No, we don't want to do that when satellite is greater than 0. We want to do it when this is less than 100. So that's the condition we want. And we may need to tweak that number. 100 sounds good for now. And we want to read the hand contents so that gets out on the subtraction. Now we could pull in the green network here, but the problem with that is that when we read the hand contents, that's going to go out on the green network as well, and that's going to mess with our counts. So we need to obfuscate that signal a bit. Let's see, you are currently getting a red signal. Let's just put these all around and hook that up to the red network, because we can recycle that red network, and that's getting into a mess over there. Let's copy those conditions around so that all looks good. Okay, and let's pull out... how do we want to do this? A decider? That seems like it should be good. And let's hook this decider into the green network. and say if the science count is less than 100, output a green signal for go, right? And then you are enabled when green signal is greater than 0. And hook that green wire up to you. So you should be disabled now. Or no, you should be enabled because this count is less than 100 because it's non-existent or 0. And you should be getting a green signal. That is going out. It is. And that is now enabled, and that could happen. All right, another way we could go about doing that, now that I'm thinking about it, is we could output the satellite signal. That's here. We can output the satellite signal whenever that is less than 100. And instead of enable disable, we could set that to set the filters, right? 2 ways to skin that cat. Which one do I like better? Does it matter? I don't think it matters. And I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay, so let's take this green network and move it to that inserter and to that inserter. And those should not be conflicting with the other green network. They're not. Man, you know what I wouldn't give for like 3 more colors for wires? That would be super handy. All right, and I think that's all we need to do. And that should keep our science under control. Our electric engine should be under control. Everything should just be under control right now. So I'm going to let this guy go, turn him on, and we'll just see how this performs over a little bit of time. Sound good? Sounds good. All right, so how many of you called that this setting the filter was a big, giant mistake? You can see this guy flipping out. He's going all over the place. It points out 2 problems. One is that I forgot to set up my other inserters that way. But the other problem is that this is also hooked up to the red wire, so it's just going crazy. We can't do that. Yeah, no. If it was just a single network, it would be fine. So, yeah, if that is less than 100, output green. And, yeah, let's not set the filters. We're going to disable you based on getting that green signal. Yeah, much better. Much more sane. Oh, I've been playing with these factories for too long. I'm starting to go a little bit crazy. All right, I think that's going to be doing what we want to do, though. Lights are green. Everything is good. Now, what's your... Okay, you don't have an enable-disable condition because you're just grabbing stuff. All right, that should be good. We started everything off here. Everything is looking okay. We're already getting some science over here. Plenty of room in the belts. Plenty of room. I did tone down the inputs here. We're not doing the same amount we were doing down there. I basically switched the numbers here for the actual 30 science a minute. I was concerned about the 3 belts, and I still kind of am. But it's looking really good, if I'm honest. And all this stuff is where it needs to be. We've got a little bit excessive amount of sulfur going around the belt here, but that's no crime since it's on its own little sub-network. All the copper wire here is looking good. May want to think about putting in a couple of stack inserters on these green machines. Certainly wouldn't hurt anything, I don't think. But for now, we'll just let it go and see how it works. What are you missing? You're already full of red circuits already. That is fantastic. This belt down here is fully running. It does not look busy at all, which is very nice. This one is the one I was kind of concerned about, but it looks fairly reasonable as well. So, yeah, that's great. And, yeah, all this stuff is looking very good. We've got a ton of room on the belt still. And, yeah, I switched up this barrel processing thing and used filter inserters on each one of the lanes, and they all just basically feed into themselves so that all that stuff gets yanked off. The inserters, they were working, but they weren't working nearly as well. I saw way too many misses. This will prevent any misses. This gets all of the barrels off all of the time. That opens up a whole new can of worms when it comes to our main factory when we get this stuff hooked up. But I'm actually pretty excited about it. It does fit in between the beacons now, so we can tile this. And I'm wondering if we can do this with 2 trains. Because, I don't know, I mean, there's going to be an initial push of copper and iron, so if we had a train that had basically, I don't know, maybe just 1 car of copper even. I mean, look at that trickle in. It's nothing. 1 car of copper, 1 of iron, 1 of steel, 1 of coal, 1 of... So a 5-car train coming in. And 8, 9. I don't know if I want to do 9 cars. But I'm wondering if we can't, like, for stone and coal and steel, I mean, these guys are just barely trickling in. So maybe we could recycle some of those stops and use them as fluids stops as well. I don't know. It might be something we could test out. But we don't even have a setup yet. Here I am, putting the cart way before the horse. All right, well, I'm going to let this run for a little while because there's no sense in looking at the science until we actually get our first rocket launched, and we're a ways from that. So I'm going to go ahead and let it run for a while, and I will be back with you shortly. All right, well, I've been sitting here for a while. We do have our rocket prepped and ready to go. It is built. We're just waiting for a satellite to come around. There should be one on the system. It's just a matter of waiting until it happens. And I want to check the number when that happens. I think we can make one of these little counter things just right here. We should have all the wires we need. Let's see. It's going to be this red wire and this green wire. And I think we actually have... Oh, nope, not there. Oh, what have I done? There we go. That's right. And I don't think this pole's hooked up to anything, so we'll use that as our counter pole. We'll take each signal, add 0 to it, and output each signal. That gives us the difference between... Oh, there it goes, right there. We got our satellite. Fantastic. It's launching. Numbers-wise, everything's looking okay. It looks like we have a little bit of a deficit with... boy, it's really hard to see this stuff blinking. I wish it would just stay in an order. It looks like we have a little deficit with solid fuel. That's a little bit of a concern to me. But okay, we're getting our space science on the bus now, and we're starting to actually use the space science, which is very, very good. These inserters should now be off if our test was correct. And yep, that works. That's good. Those guys are off, and they will not insert another satellite until we have 100 science left out on this line. So that should be really good. When the space science makes its way around, we'll get it. I'm thinking, would it be good to set up sort of a sushi belt, but for science, so that we grab it off of the line, so that these guys don't have to wait for it, and they can process it just as fast as it comes in. That's a thought. But let's see what's going on with. Let's see what's going on with solid fuel. Is everything good here? No, I think everything's good. Is this being counted correctly? Let's see, we have our input line here. We have our addition lines here. That looks okay to me. You guys are subtracting, reading your hand contents, and all that looks good. Yeah. What else takes solid fuel? Is it blue science? It's blue science, right? Where's blue science? Blue science is over here. You are reading and subtracting. It looks like all that is good. All right, so I guess solid fuel's just trying to keep up as best as it can. Interesting. I'm gonna need to look at the numbers again because I'm pretty sure it was only one plant. You're getting all of your beacon speed bonuses and productivity bonuses. Yeah. Might have to recheck that number. But, I mean, it's been going really, really well. I haven't had to really push. I mean, one side of the belt is being favored, of course, just because all the inserters are inserting to it. But, I mean, we've got plenty of room on the belt. The balancer here is working out very, very nicely. And everything's just going well. Let's see. Accumulators were down too as well. They are waiting on batteries. Are we making batteries? That is a question. Yeah, we're making them. We're just not sending them out fast enough. So that seems to be, yeah, just them. Not enough of them on the line. Let's see. Do I have a cheater over here? I do. A cheater. What do I call this? A counter thing. Batteries, it shows us, it's hard to tell, but it looks like we have a excess of 3 on the belt currently. So yeah, I guess it's just a matter of it waiting. Was that a battery? Yeah, you grabbed a battery. Okay, so it's working. It's just what it is. All right, so the numbers. I don't know. This is kind of where I start the timer. Whenever we have space science, that's when the whole factory is technically running. It's on its like little first loop right now. So I will sit and do what I've been doing for the last couple of days, and sit and wait and let this thing just run unattended for a while and see how it looks over time. Because that's when that's one of the really tough things about this is the problems aren't really apparent until after it's run for a very, very long time. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so this has been going on for a couple of hours now, maybe 2 or 3. I've lost track of time. It's definitely more than 1, though. It's been going for a very, very long time now, and it looks really good. It looks extremely good. The belts have been moving along well. We're in kind of a full spot right now. But what was happening is that I used to have like 2 of these like full main bus belts going into the same splitter, and it was causing a little bit of a backup. I fixed that where they're all going into their own individual splitters, and it's worked out a lot better because over here, initially we're getting a big push of stuff, but it's just trickling. And we don't want 2 almost full belts going into the same splitter because that's going to cause a bottleneck, which it did. But that hasn't been going on now. It's been about an hour and a half since I fixed that. So everything's been going along swimmingly. And it wasn't backing up before. It was moving a little bit slow because we had probably more than half on these 2 lines that were going into the same splitter. And it was causing just a little bit of a little bit of traffic on there that didn't need to be there. But no, I mean, everything's very, very stable. It's working really well. We've got a ton of wire. This actually goes between having just a ton of wire and almost no wire. It kind of breathes back and forth. I'm not quite sure. I'm guessing there's probably a big demand that hits every now and then on circuits for whatever reason, and that sucks up all the wire. But no, everything's been really smooth, really stable. Our rocket is cocked and ready to go. It's still waiting on science. Let's see, we've got 680 science right now, so we need to Need to burn off about 500 of that, and we should be ready for another rocket launch. The labs have been sciencing. It looks like what the big bottleneck here is it's just waiting for the science to go around. It has no time eating up the science. It just takes it a while because it's got to wait for it to go all the way around the belt. It may be worth it to look into getting a little sushi setup going up here, pull the science packs off of the main bus so they're going around their own little sushi belt so these guys have a little bit more access to it. I haven't really thought it all the way through if that's going to be an improvement. I feel like it should, but that would eat the science packs a lot further, and our bottleneck will be somewhere else. We're just moving the bottleneck with that. That's my feeling. But, hey, it's an optimization that we can try. But no, everything's been going really well. There hasn't been any backups, and it's been going virtually hands-free for a long time. Production-wise, we are looking at 6.2 science a minute is being consumed, which is a little bit underwhelming comparing it to what we set it up for, A, but B, also we were getting about, 13 down here? 12, 13? So it's underperforming, but in this area up here's defense, I actually halved the inputs. So this guy actually has a lot more inputs, double the amount of stuff going through the sushi belt than this one has. I divided everything by 2. It's the actual numbers that we need for 30 science a minute, as opposed to the 60 science a minute that we were doing down here. We could do more, but yeah, this belt, it's got room on it. We might be able to squeeze like 45 science a minute stuff out of there. I don't know. We just have to test those numbers to see if we can bump that up a little bit. I've been thinking, we just been kind of laying out designs, and this down here was just, actually, let's see, Alt-D. Alt-D. There we go. This was me just having a template here to play with some stuff. This is the one we were doing earlier, which is completely backed up right now. Trying to decide, so we got 2 setups that work. I mean, we had some problems with this one, but I think the fixing the electric engines and getting the space science under control will help to alleviate the stresses we have on that. And then we have more of a design like this that could probably be optimized. I'm trying to think about which canvas I want to take and move forward. Looking at this setup up here, I cheated a little bit and went around and looked at some other sushi setups that some folks had been working on. And this one definitely goes into that realm, to some of the ways I've seen people do it. And where they have a big main bus that has everything all sushified, and then they're pulling off things off of that bus and moving it into these like little smaller sushi belts. I think at the end of the day, we can probably get more performance out of this setup. But my hesitation with going in that direction is that this is kind of more what I set out to do, where literally everything is on the same belt. Everything in the factory. I mean, that's more the goal, right? The whole sushi idea. And I don't know if I'm betraying myself by setting up these little sub things. I don't know. I haven't really given it a lot of thought, but that is what I'm going to be doing here very, very soon. Am I going to be a purist, a sushi purist, and go with that direction, or maybe look into doing something more like this, where they're kind of like compartmentalized? I don't know. Give it a think. I may actually just go ahead and set up both and do some tweaks on both at the same time and run some numbers and see how that works out. But I would like to thank you very, very much for watching. I do really appreciate it. And thank you. Been a lot of really, really, really good comments on this thread, on this series. I appreciate them very much. I am reading them and I am taking a lot of the advice to heart. I'm a little bit slow to respond sometimes on things, but do know that I am reading them and they are very, very much appreciated. And any other tidbits of wisdom you'd like to pass along, they are very much welcome, because I'm just jumping into this. I'm not an expert. I just kind of play one on YouTube. But thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Have a good day.